You know what makes me absolutely sick? The fact that half of you sitting here watching this video right now are going to defend Bron Breakker's cowardly attack on Bronson Reed. You're going to sit there in the comments and tell me, oh, it's just business, oh, that's wrestling, oh, Bron needed to make a statement. No, absolutely not. What we witnessed on Monday Night Raw wasn't making a statement, it was a betrayal of the highest order. It was a second-generation superstar with everything handed to him on a silver platter, turning his back on the one person who had his back when nobody else did. And if you think what Bron Breakker did was justified, you need to check yourself, because you're exactly what's wrong with the WWE Universe today. Let me ask you something right now, and I want honest answers in the comments. Have you ever had someone you trusted completely stab you in the back? Because that's what this is. That's what Bronson Reed is dealing with. And if you've experienced it, you know why this cuts deeper than any spear or any finisher ever could. Let's talk about what really happened here, because the mainstream wrestling media is already spinning this the wrong way. They are painting Bron Breakker as some kind of alpha male making a necessary business decision. They are acting like Bronson Reed somehow deserved this, like he had it coming, like the 330-pound tsunami of WWE should have seen this coming from a mile away. But here's what they are not telling you. Here's what they are conveniently leaving out of their sanitized, corporate-approved narratives. Bronson Reed made Bron Breakker. Let that sink in. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Bronson Reed made Bron Breakker. The history when Bron Breakker came up to the main roster, who was standing beside him? When the so-called genetic freak needed someone to watch his back against the established stars who wanted to put him in his place, who answered the call? When Breakker was just another NXT call-up trying to prove he belonged on Raw, who gave him legitimacy? Bronson Reed, that's who. The Australian powerhouse could have aligned himself with anyone. He could have chosen established main eventers. He could have gone solo and carved his own path to the Universal Championship. But he saw something in Bron Breakker. He saw potential. He saw hunger. He saw a young superstar who reminded him of himself, someone who had to fight twice as hard to get half the recognition because he didn't fit WWE's traditional mold. Quick question for the comments: who do you think benefited more from this alliance, Bronson Reed or Bron Breakker? Be honest. They became a force, an unstoppable wrecking crew that demolished everyone in their path. The Shield? These two were running through former Shield members like they were nothing. The Judgment Day? Handled. LWO? Destroyed. Street Profits? Demolished. Alpha Academy? Obliterated. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker weren't just a tag team, they were a movement. They represented everything WWE claims to want: youth, athleticism, aggression, and an edge that's been missing from Raw for years. The cracks begin, but then something started to change. Slowly, subtly, the kind of change you don't notice until it's too late. Bron started getting singles opportunities, magazine covers, interviews where he'd talk about his success and his dominance. The spotlight started shifting, and with every ounce of attention that Bron received, Bronson got pushed further into the shadows. Now, did Bronson complain? Did he throw a fit? Did he demand equal treatment? No, because that's not who Bronson Reed is. He's a professional. He's a team player. He understood that sometimes you've got to take a backseat for the greater good of the team. But here's what Bronson didn't realize: Bron Breakker wasn't thinking about the team anymore. He was thinking about himself. Last Monday on Raw, everything came to a head. Bronson and Bron had a match against Imperium, two of the toughest, most technically sound wrestlers in WWE. This should have been business as usual. Another win, another statement, another step toward tag team gold. But it wasn't. The match was competitive, hard-hitting, brutal. Gunther's boys weren't laying down for anyone. They were fighting like their careers depended on it. And in the middle of this war, something happened. Bronson went for his signature tsunami splash from the top rope. He launched all 330 pounds into the air. The crowd held their breath. This was the moment. This was the finish. But Ludwig Kaiser moved. Bronson crashed into the canvas. The ring shook. The impact was devastating. And for a moment, just a moment, Bronson was vulnerable. Now, in any tag team, in any partnership worth its salt, this is when your partner steps in. This is when you make the save. This is when you remind everyone why tag teams exist in the first place. So what did Bron Breakker do? Nothing. He stood on the apron, watching, waiting, and the look on his face? It wasn't concern. It wasn't worry. It was calculation. Drop this in the comments. What would you have done in Bron's position? Would you have saved your partner or made a statement? Imperium capitalized. Double team maneuvers, kicks, suplexes. They were destroying Bronson Reed. And where was the genetic freak? Still on the apron. Still watching. Still doing nothing. Finally, Bronson fought back. He powered out of Imperium's grip. He hit a massive clothesline that turned Ludwig Kaiser inside out. He was fighting back to his corner, reaching for the tag, reaching for his partner, reaching for the man who he thought was his brother, and Bron Breakker stepped down from the apron. The crowd gasped. You could hear the shock ripple through the arena. Even the commentators went silent for a moment, unable to process what they were seeing. Bronson's hand was extended. His eyes were filled with confusion, then desperation, then rage. Because in that moment, he understood. He finally understood what had been building for weeks. Bron Breakker wasn't his partner anymore. He was his enemy. But abandoning your partner, that would have been bad enough. That alone would have been grounds for Bronson to cut all ties. But Bron Breakker didn't just walk away. Oh no, that wouldn't have been enough for this entitled, second-generation superstar who's had everything handed to him his entire life. After Imperium finished off Bronson, after they hit their finish and picked up the win, Bron Breakker re-entered the ring. The crowd was booing. Loudly, they knew what was coming. They could feel it in the air. Bronson was down, exhausted, beaten, betrayed, and that's when Bron struck. Spear, the most devastating spear you've ever seen. Bron launched himself at Bronson with a level of aggression and violence that was personal. This wasn't about making an impact. This wasn't about sending a message to the locker room. This was about hurting the one person who believed in him when nobody else did. But he wasn't done. Oh, he wasn't done. Bron picked up Bronson's lifeless body. Another spear. This one even more vicious than the first. Bronson's body folded like an accordion. Medical staff started rushing to the ring. Referees were trying to pull Bron away. And the genetic freak was laughing. Bronson Reed was stretchered out of the arena that night. Possible broken ribs. Possible internal injuries. The kind of damage that doesn't heal in a week or two. The kind of damage that ends careers if it's severe enough. And for what? So Bron Breakker could prove his 8th singles star. So he could show the world he doesn't need a partner. So he could step out of Bronson's shadow and into the spotlight. Here's the reality. Bron Breakker was never in Bronson Reed's shadow. Bronson was elevating him. Bronson was making him look good. And the second Bron felt like he didn't need that elevation anymore, he tossed Bronson aside like yesterday's garbage. Question for the old school fans, does this remind you of any classic WWE betrayals? Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty? Seth Rollins and The Shield? Let me know below. 2 days after the attack, Bronson Reed released a statement through his social media. No fancy production. No corporate approval. Just raw, unfiltered truth. I gave everything to that partnership. My loyalty, my trust, my body, and Bron Breakker repaid me with the worst kind of betrayal. So let me make this crystal clear, we are done. There is no reconciliation. There is no reunion. There is no forgiveness. Bron Breakker is dead to me, and when I'm medically cleared, when I'm back to 100%, I'm going to show him what happens when you cross the colossal. The wrestling world erupted. Social media went insane. Because this wasn't scripted corporate speak. This was real. This was personal. This was a promise of violence. So where do we go from here? What does this mean for both of these superstars moving forward? For Bron Breakker, this is his singles run. This is his moment to prove that he's more than just a second-generation star riding his family's name. This is his chance to show that he can main event WrestleMania, hold championships, and be the guy on Monday Night Raw. But here's the problem, he's done it in the worst possible way. He's alienated the locker room. He's shown that loyalty means nothing to him. He's proven that the second you're no longer useful to Bron Breakker, you're expendable. And in WWE, that kind of reputation follows you. It haunts you. It comes back to bite you when you least expect it. For Bronson Reed, this is about revenge. Pure, unfiltered, brutal revenge. This is about showing Bron Breakker that you don't discard a 330-pound tsunami without suffering the consequences. This is about proving that loyalty and brotherhood still mean something in professional wrestling. And when these two finally collide in a singles match, and they will collide, it's going to be carnage. It's going to be the kind of match that people talk about for years. Because this isn't about championships. This isn't about rankings. This is personal. Final question, when Bronson Reed returns and faces Bron Breakker one-on-one, who are you backing? Team Reed or Team Breakker? Comments now. But let's zoom out for a second. Because this story is about more than just two wrestlers having a falling out. This is about WWE's obsession with pushing certain stars at the expense of others. This is about how second-generation stars get opportunities that others have to claw and fight for. This is about the politics and the backstabbing that happens when egos get involved. Bronson Reed did everything right. He was a team player. He put the partnership first. He elevated his partner instead of worrying about his own spotlight. And how was he repaid? With betrayal, with violence, with his trust being shattered into a million pieces. This is the harsh reality of WWE. Loyalty is a weakness. Trust is a liability, and the second you let your guard down, someone's going to stab you in the back. Bronson Reed has cut all ties with Bron Breakker, and honestly, it's the only move he could make. You don't forgive this kind of betrayal. You don't forget this kind of attack. You don't move on from someone trying to end your career. The question now is, what happens when Bronson comes back? What happens when he's cleared to compete? What happens when 330 pounds of pure rage gets his hands on the man who betrayed him? We're about to find out, and WWE Raw will never be the same. If this video got you fired up, smash that like button, subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 for the most intense wrestling breakdowns on YouTube, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team Reed or Team Breakker? Do you think this betrayal was justified? And what should happen when these two finally meet in the ring? Until next time, this is Wrestling Zone 1, reminding you that in WWE, trust no one. Because the second you do, you might end up on the wrong end of a spear.